Now, we're all ready for Spider-Man 4, and everyone wants to see Tom Holland return as the web-slinger. The last movie left us on one heck of a dramatic cliffhanger, but that drama is nothing compared to what's going on between Marvel and Sony right now over the character, potentially threatening his future in the MCU. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about what's going on, why there's a problem, and how the crowded slate is really pressuring everyone. Now, before we do that though, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and ring that bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC videos, and we want to be your place for all the superhero news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently so you are in the know. Well, sadly, this isn't the first time we've been talking about this, but it does appear Marvel Studios and Sony are kind of butting heads over what to do for Spider-Man 4. Now, this movie is definitely going to happen. There's contracts in place, but all this drama could very well prevent them from renewing those contracts in the future, so we should pay close attention. Been a little more than 2 years since No Way Home hit theaters, and honestly, the movie was such a big hit in the post-pandemic world, it absolutely was the injection the whole industry needed. Now, at this point, there's really not any big signs of Spider-Man 4 on the horizon. Actually, it's not even on Marvel's schedule right now. And while we know the movie is indeed in the works at Marvel Studios, there have been some new rumblings that Sony Pictures and Marvel are clashing over the direction they want to take the character in. Now, we did a report on this a few weeks ago, and in that report, we basically broke down that Marvel wants to stick with the street-level story, potentially pairing him up with Daredevil for a battle with the Kingpin, which honestly is what I think most fans want. Now, apparently, Sony wants to go in a completely different direction and try to reunite the three Spider-Men, Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire for another multiverse reality-hopping type adventure. Honestly, between the two, I think the choice is pretty clear, and I think most fans probably have had enough of the multiverse aspects of these characters. Now, we just did a recent report on how poorly Madam Web did at the box office, and since Sony made $2 million the first time around, it's not really a big surprise that Sony would want to try to repeat those efforts. You would think this would be enough drama, but apparently there's a new problem on the horizon, and that is the release date. Now, I'm seeing this via several scoopers on various social media platforms, so I want to be really clear with everybody. This is an unverified report, so we want to really look at it with a grain of salt, and honestly, sometimes people try to inject bad news into a situation because people talk about bad news and they want attention. It appears the scoop originally came from Can We Get Some Toast, so you know how we feel about anonymous scoopers on this channel. Now, what this scoop is saying is that Sony Pictures wants to release the next Spider-Man movie in 2024. They're moving at light speed with some of their projects, like the new Venom film, and I guess they really want to get Spider-Man back in the theaters because, like we were saying, they don't have a lot of franchises to lean on. Now, apparently, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, however, is already stretched pretty thin and would be basically unable to contribute to the movie in almost any meaningful way if this production schedule moves forward. Remember, Marvel has been trying to streamline some of these efforts and take pressure off the creatives so we can kind of return to the heyday where these products were pretty universally well received. Thunderbolts, The Fantastic Four, and Captain America Brave New World are all currently slated for 2025, along with Blade, which we are getting some reports might be pushed into 2026, but regardless, this is a full schedule. Add on the fact that Daredevil, Born Again, and Ironheart are both scheduled to arrive on Disney+, Kevin Feige totally has a full schedule. Now, according to the reports, Sony wants Spider-Man 4 to drop in theaters in June of 2025. And if you guys know the schedule for next year, it is absolutely packed. But apparently, they might compromise with Marvel and push it forward to Christmas. If that happens, it's almost 100% chance that Blade gets pushed into the next year to make room on the schedule, and that could cause further drama. Now, you have to be a little concerned about what's going on here. Obviously, everybody wants more Spider-Man, but Marvel Studios seems to be on track to release the fourth film not in 2025, but in 2026, and what we are hearing is it'll lead directly into the next Avengers movie, which people are now calling Avengers 5 instead of Kang Dynasty. Now, I think the follow-up story does leave Marvel with some flexibility on which path they take with story, but I think Sony will probably ultimately have to work with Marvel Studios on when they can integrate the story into the release schedule, because after this year and a little bit of letting fans get hungry because there's not many releases, next year is going to have to be a series of home runs, or it could definitely impact the industry, and rushing another Spider-Man movie out there and pushing it through an already overtaxed Marvel Studios, well, that might not be such a great idea. The other option is Sony producing the film on their own, and honestly, after Madam Web, Morbius, and some of their other failures, I don't really think most fans think that's a great idea. Now, obviously, we're going to follow Spider-Man 4 super closely. It's one of everybody's most anticipated projects coming up. I really do think Tom Holland has 3 more entries in the MCU with his 4th Spider-Man movie and the 2 Avengers movies. So what happens after that, we're going to have to wait and see. But if Marvel and Sony continue to butt heads, we're very likely to see him make an exit.